Hi, everyone. Welcome to Nurse and Doc podcast. And today we have a really special guest.
Keep going. Yes, her name is Krystal Small. She's a healthcare professional, mom, wife, and business owner. Thank you for being on our podcast, Krystal.
I'm excited. This is my first one.
Yay!
Oh, fun.
We're glad to have you.
Yeah, we're so happy to have you. So, why don't you tell the people who are listening a little bit about how we all know each other and why, why you're doing what you're doing. We don't really want to say, we want to hear kind of where you were and where you've come from and where you are now in your job, in your life. First, why don't we start off with how do we all know each other?
That sounds good. Because I'd start, I was born in.
We want to hear that too.
Yeah.
So we know each other through this amazing company that we're both with. And luckily, have mutual friends, I think, that introduced us really, Josh and Lisa. And so, that's how we met, right? I've met so many people through this company. And the big thing, I think, yeah, that's how we met. That's the answer to the question.
Well, and since you already said about where you were born, we would love to hear a little bit about where you were born and what your childhood was like, and give us some stats.
Give us some nuggets.
Right. Well, I was born in 78. I'm 42, almost 43. No, I got some months.
When's your birthday?
Yeah, November. But my youngest, so I have 3 children. My baby is turning 6 in 4 days. The countdown is on. And then I have 2 girls who are 9 and 11. So grew up in New Hampshire, lived in New Hampshire almost my whole life. Went to school at UNH, even though I didn't want to, because I always wanted to get away. But, went to UNH and fell in love with it. So I stayed and got a bachelor's degree in occupational therapy. And I went to Texas and Baltimore for my my internships. So first, my sister lived in Baltimore, so I went there and had a great experience at Johns Hopkins, which was awesome. And then decided my cousin lived in Texas, because of course these internships are, volunteer, right? So you don't get paid for a whole year of your life. So I lived with my cousin, and when I was there, I ended up getting a nannying job from one of the kiddos that I was working for in peds. So I moved to Texas for a year and a half, and I nannied for a year and a half. Yeah, I don't know if I told you guys that. So
that was fun.
It was fun. Yeah, it was very fun. Very fulfilling, for my motherly desires. I've always wanted kids, but definitely I was a little bored. I guess what should have been kind of an eye opener for when I all of a sudden overnight with COVID was a stay-at-home mom. Right. And I was like, wait a minute, this is not actually what I want to be doing for the rest of my life. So, yeah. So anyway, my husband and my boyfriend at the time, he moved down for half the year, 8 months or so. And then he came home. He loves the New England area. He races sailboats. And so he didn't want to be in Texas anymore. And then I came home and we got married, and then we had 3 children, and here we are.
So you did get out of Dodge. It just wasn't for college. It was for your internships.
Yeah. I did.
So you got a little of the travel bug.
I did. Yeah. And it was beautiful down there. It kind of was like, it was a planned community. I don't know if anybody's been to the Woodlands in Texas, but it was very New England. There was a lot of transplants. So I think there was more Red Sox fans there, Patriots fans, than there were, any Texan fans, which was kind of fun.
That's fun. Did you have any of your kids in Texas, or did you come up here and then have kids?
Nope. Yeah, we were here for 5 years. 5 years before we had children. So I was 30 when I had my first baby, and I left Texas when I was 25. So definitely.
And so how many years were you working as an OT before you had kids?
So I came back from Texas at 25, and I got a job with pediatrics. The clinic closed. And I'm so grateful. There's always these things that happen in your life where you're like, what the heck am I going to do now? And that was a turning point, because it was the first real job I had, and the clinic closed. And so I remember my mom saying, well, what can you do? What population can you work with that when you have a family, you're going to be able to be most flexible? And I hadn't even thought about that, at 25, 26 years old.
Yeah.
My mom did. She also told me I should date my husband, and I listened to her. So, but I remember I had another pediatrics, job set up. And then I had this other job with adults, and I had never worked with adults in my non-internship career. So anyway, I took the leap, and I listened to her, and I took the leap, and I worked with adults, which was just fantastic because that just opened up so many other doors. And then I became a case manager in a hospital, which was kind of unheard of as a therapist. So I love to bring my spin to all those nurses. And I learned a ton from them. And then when I had my first baby, I went to my boss, who I adore, and I said, I really want to change my schedule. Like, I'll work until 6:30 at night, if I can come in early and work really late on a couple of days so I can have a day off. And she said no. And that's part of what I don't love about healthcare is, there's no mommy hours in healthcare, right? However, because she said no, it pushed me to look elsewhere. And I usually am the kind of person that I like stability, and I'm not a huge person of change. So I talked to her today, and I say, I'm so grateful that you said no to me, because then it pushed me to go into home care. And so when my first daughter was 3 months old, nope, she was actually 4 months by then, because I had finished my maternity leave. Anyway, I started home care, and that was just a much more flexible job. And then I hated the paperwork. So I did that for 11 years, hoping I could get better at the paperwork. But I loved being able to treat people in their home. And it was just really functional for me. So that was how I transitioned out of the hospital into home care, and had a couple more kids.
And then was it at that point that you started transitioning out of home care to doing an at-home business?
So I actually had no desire to do an at-home business. I had no desire. Well, I don't want to say no desire. I had no plans of taking on anything else. I actually started using the products, the nutrition, because I was exhausted, and being in the car all day. I was thinking, like, is there a healthy McDonald's out there? Right? Because you pack for your kids, right? You pack their food, and I would never pack a healthy lunch for myself. And then I'd work all day because you don't want to take any time. When you're in healthcare, it's in home care, it's just see your patients, and whatever time frame it takes you, you get paid the same amount. You could be seeing 3 people in the same building, or you could be traveling an hour in between patients. So you never really know what your schedule is going to be, but you also are eating in the car all day long. And so I originally reached out to a friend who was also in the car all day long, had 3 kids, and looked like she was rocking life. I was like, what are you doing that I'm not? Because I do not feel like you look. So that's how I started the products. And I felt so amazing. And people started asking me what I was doing, because there was just a definite change in, my energy, how I was just showing up in the world, really. And so when I started sharing it and I started seeing other people feeling good, that's kind of when the light bulb went off. But, looking back, I had wanted a 4th baby, and my husband said no. And so I said to him in October, we started in January. So in October, I was like, well, I'm going to do something. I don't know what it's going to be. I don't know. We might open a pizza place, but we're going to do it, and you're going to support me. And that's it. And he's like, okay. And so then 4 months later, all of a sudden I'm like, I found that thing. Guess what?
Wow.
Yeah.
He's probably glad it wasn't a pizza place, huh?
I'm glad it wasn't a pizza place. Yes. Because then I would be stuck there or not stuck there during COVID. Yeah. So,
do you feel like it is sort of your 4th baby?
It is kind of my 4th baby. That and my new puppy. We got a new puppy. I'm looking at her sleeping on the floor right now.
Wow.
But yeah, it's been amazing. So because I intentionally have been, building it in the pockets of my time, I've been able to, even before COVID, Medicare changes really kind of dictated a lot of the treatment plans for home care. And so as an OT, my caseload was really dwindling even before COVID hit. And so unfortunately, there was a lot of people that were looking for second jobs and, different opportunities because we weren't getting as much. So I was already working a little bit less before COVID hit. And then when COVID hit, I had 3 kids all of a sudden at home and was home care, homeschooling them. So, so grateful that I started, really building this a while ago, because it has completely replaced the income that I was making as an OT, which has been a blessing, because we have not struggled the way that a lot of people have financially.
Right.
Yeah. What would you say, Krystal, to people who have either had bad experiences in the past with, I call it direct shipping companies that ship directly to your home, because as you know, we have a company that we use here that's a wholesale retail model, and a lot of people know about that model, but they're not as familiar or as comfortable perhaps with a home-based business, and a direct ship business. What would you say to people who maybe didn't have the best experience or don't know a lot about it, but have some kind of, I don't know, question mark about a home-based business?
Yeah, well, that I would say that was me. I had some friends reach out over the years, with businesses they had started, or and I'm embarrassed to say that I wouldn't even listen to them. Not interested, and also I felt I felt at that time that a lot of the products that they wanted to share with me were just kind of extras for me. And I never spent money on myself, like my kids would have a million new clothes and I've got one pair of jeans from 20 years ago. I really need to get another pair, So I think there's that piece of it. And like I said, I had no plans of starting this, but I eat my overhead. So, it's literally food that we're going to buy anyway. And my family, we all eat the food. And so there is no risk. And when I started seeing people's results, and more people were having great results, and then people were thanking me for sharing it with them, it really changed. It changed so much for me. And, everybody, we could go so deep into this, but I think everybody has their own money story. And I think, my parents were divorced. My mom grew up using the credit card, right? My dad grew up yelling at us if we left a light on in the kitchen, and so there was always this, this kind of feeling of life is supposed to be difficult financially. You're not really supposed to get ahead. You're kind of supposed to live paycheck to paycheck. And so, as I was driving around in home care, I would always look at these houses and be like, there is money in this world. And they're not all doctors and lawyers, there's got to be a way to do something besides going back to school for 8 years. There's got to be a way to tap into that. I know that there's just so much of it out here, so that was always in the back of my mind. And then when I understood the model and the fact that I could be creative, I could do it my way, on my terms, in my time. And the effort that I put in was directly going to, result in the growth or the non-growth of my company. It seemed like a perfect fit for me. And it's not for everybody, but I love it. I love every single day talking with people, helping people, inspiring people, planning things. So that's what I would tell them. Just be open. Keep open.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
I just want to speak to something that you said earlier about it doesn't quite matter how many hours you're putting in to healthcare, and I can relate to this very well. And if you want to give better care, it doesn't matter how much paperwork you're doing and how long it takes you to do that, because you're getting paid the same amount.
Yeah.
How would you compare that to what you're doing now, and time versus money, and how you're utilizing your time? What is the difference between the two?
So when you're building a network marketing company or a business like this, it's very, very different. First of all, you are going to be spending a good amount of time without this fruitful bank account, right? So it's kind of like you've got to just build this foundation. And I heard somebody, I think it was Don Fail, I read in one of the books where he said, if you think about one of those big buildings, say in Vegas, right? It's like months and months and months, and there's not a whole lot going on. They're just working on the foundation. And then, almost within 3 weeks, they've built this huge thing. And that's really what it is. And luckily, people were very open with me in the beginning and explained that, you're going to work really hard, and it's like bamboo, right? You just water bamboo, and then overnight it grows 8 feet. So that was kind of hard, I think, at first, because I'm still working as an OT, and I'm still doing my work, my hourly work, but I'm also spending time putting in effort at home, which, was slower than my husband would have liked to have seen, but I mean, in the last year, my business has quadrupled, and I have, so many people that have kind of showed up. And that's just how it works. If you stick with it and you put in the time and you continue to do work on yourself, the more you work on yourself, the bigger your business will be. It's a very different model that I think, people may not always be completely upfront. And I don't love that. It's not get rich quick overnight. It really is put in a lot of effort, and get better at your skills and get better at talking with people and connecting to people. That was one of the things I needed to really do in the beginning, was just like learn how to talk to people. Cause I was always Kira's mom or Jeremy's wife, or, so just, that was, it's been a blessing. I've become a whole new person because I put in the work. But financially, it's starting to really, make a difference. And like I said, it has, for me, it's 3-ish years in, and I've been able to supplement my per diem income. So everybody's different. Some
Right.
people go way faster than me. Some people take a lot longer than me. But it's so worth it in my mind.
I loved what you were saying the last time we spoke. You were talking about how your coat broke. Will you tell that story?
My what?
Your coat, your zipper broke.
Oh, yeah. So we were skiing, and we were on our way out, thank goodness, but my zipper broke on my coat, and I was able to go right into the shop and buy myself, a winter coat that was way more expensive than I would have ever spent on myself. And it's little things like that I'm like, oh, it's just those little touches, being able to go to the grocery store and not worrying that my credit card is going to get declined, which definitely was a worry. Like, okay, I have, looking on the phone, right? Because I have $394 left on the credit card. I hope this doesn't go to 400, and that has happened for years. There was always more month than money. And so, again, it didn't happen overnight, but we're at this point where it's like, I can breathe again, because we have this extra income coming in. And for some people that could be $200 a month. I think there's a statistic that divorce rates would be cut in half if people had $500 more a month. That's incredible. $500 more a month. And I'm sure that statistic is much higher right now. I know stress is really high for a lot of people, but even before COVID, $500 a month for people's lives to just be easier. And I pay the bills in this house. My husband and I have been together for 22 years now, and I've always done that. And I've always held the stress, of how big our credit cards were, how much money we didn't have, where were things going to come from, what could I consolidate this time, that kind of thing. And so, yeah, I'm happy to say that we're on the other side of that right now. And so being able to buy myself, a $250 coat because I just needed it was great.
You also said something about buying avocados.
Oh yeah, right. Avocados, they can be like $2 an avocado. I buy 6 avocados every time I go to the grocery store because my family loves them and they're healthy for you. You know, and before I'd be like, oh my gosh, I'm not buying them. They're $2 an avocado. That's ridiculous. You know, I'll hit them next time when they're 99 cents. But just those little things, being able to, you know, get your kid a new pair of sneakers without stressing about it. Right. I mean, because they need it. And I know that, I mean, yeah, that I have goosebumps because I had forgotten about that because, you know, when you're living and, you know, today is a good day, right? But not too long ago that was always in the back of my mind, you know, and it wasn't even, you know, how much money do you have in your pocket? It was literally how much how much space do we have on this credit card? Because, you know, there isn't space on the other one, you know, so.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So it can be.
Well, yeah, I think that that's amazing that you're able to relieve some of that, you know, that stress, and you're managing a household, you're managing finances, you're a mom of 3, you have a pandemic that hits, and your, you know, client load goes down for your per diem position. And, you know, it's always a leap, and a leap of faith to jump into entrepreneurship. Luckily, you're working with a company that allowed you to do that over time. Now that you have been able to supplement your per diem job, what kind of, other than the financial freedom, is there other ways that you've been able to balance your home life in a different way that you weren't able to do before?
For sure. Yeah. So my mom, growing up, my parents were divorced and my mom had her own interior decorating business, right? And she made every single sporting event. She never missed a game. And I wrote out in my vision, you know, I've written my vision 100 times, but it was always, I don't want to have to miss another Saturday, you know, and up until 2 years ago, it was not just missing my kids' games, but it was also figuring out who was going to take care of the other kids and get them where they needed to be because my husband was coaching this one, or, you know, and it was a strain on family members for sure, because it was always, you know, asking for help. But I was missing so much of her sports. And so I put in my vision statement, I don't want to miss another Saturday. I don't want to miss, you know, another Sunday. I don't want to have to miss church, you know, because I'm working. And so that's been a big thing, making my own schedule. And you know, definitely there's always times, you know, there's trips, which has also been a blessing. Actually, I've been able to go to places in the country that I had never visited before because of the company. The company actually, I earned a trip to Disney World. My whole family got to go to Disney for 4 days, which we never would have been able to afford. So there's so many positive things when you really put your head down and you do the work. But just the everyday not being gone, you know, like I got to go pick my kids up. I drop them off and I pick them up every single day. And I wasn't able to do that before. You know, Kira went to daycare 4 days a week when she was 12 weeks old, you know, because I had to go back to work. So yeah, that's the biggest thing, being here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there some books or podcasts or videos that you have watched that have had a big impact on you, that even if you read them a while ago or listened to them a while ago, they still resonate in your head, or you still think back on them?
Yeah, gosh. So many. So if you're thinking about a network marketing position or, you know, company, or if you're even a little bit interested, I'm actually reading it again right now, Go Pro, by Eric Worre. And you know, I'm not going to lie, my husband's family and my family, literally when they're like, are you doing this as a business? And I was like, I think I am. Literally, they were like, oh, Krystal. You know, so there's all these hurdles. I'm not going to lie. It wasn't like everybody was like, good job, you know, yeah, you're doing network marketing. But they, you know, punch in and punch out their entire life. And I think that, you know, maybe the generation above me, our parents that's kind of what they've been told. You know, you go to school and then you find somebody to work for. And then you work for them until you retire, and hopefully you have enough money to retire, you know, and then you try to live, you know, hopefully without getting sick. And in home care, so many of my patients looked at me and they're like, honey, enjoy it now, because it's not fun to get old. So two things. I want to have fun when I get old, but I want to have fun now. I want to live. And that really hit me because I was like, I need to not, wait to enjoy life. I need to live in it now because you never know what's going to happen. So I love that one, but I really loved the business school for people who like helping people. And I swear, I didn't know you guys were going to ask that question. I literally have these books right here, but this is by Robert Kiyosaki. He's not even in network marketing, but he just talks about just what I said. We're kind of prone to go to school and then, learn how to work for someone else and then find someone to work for. And then, maybe work for another person and another person and another person. Right. And so it's just a different way of thinking. And this really helped me.
The book I tried to order.
That one there?
Mhm.
Oh,
Have you read this one?
I was joking with Stephanie that that's the book I tried to order, but for some reason Amazon doesn't like coming to our clinic, and it went round and round, and then it went back. So I just need to order it for the house, but it's in the pipeline.
Yeah, I love that one. I'm also, let me see. There's so many podcasts I listen to. I'm gonna pull up my Audible here.
Yeah.
I just listened to the book Ask. That's a really great book if you haven't read that one. It's by the gentleman who wrote Chicken Soup for the Soul.
oh,
And it's really just about asking for help, asking for questions, asking people questions. There's some really great stories. It's like Chicken Soup for the Soul, where it's just a bunch of stories. But that's a great one. Yeah, I've got so many books. I really love the Leadership and Self-Deception. Have you guys ever heard that?
no.
So, Leadership and Self-Deception is by the Arbinger Institute. It's a group of people that wrote it. I really love the Audible because the voices are great, but it's just about kind of falling in deception. It's been a little while since I listened to it, but the whole idea of kind of making it okay, going down a path that you necessarily aren't happy with and coming up with excuses why that's okay. Like not taking ownership over where you're at. Like you have a fight with your husband and, just kind of seeing it narrow-minded as it's his fault versus, how you both were looking at things differently or how you could have. So that's an excellent book. Has nothing to do with network marketing, but it's just a really great life book. Yeah, that's a good one.
Sorry, I have another question about, how this network marketing has affected you. One of the things that I have heard a lot is how it just automatically kind of embedded within the thinking. It forces people to think outside the box and be more creative, which I heard you say earlier. Has it helped you grow personally and spiritually in a way that you didn't anticipate?
Yeah. I mean, how long is this podcast? I mean,
I know, right?
we still have another 7 minutes or so.
Yeah. So when I first started network marketing, somebody introduced me, the person who introduced me to this company introduced me to a life coach. And so I was so brand new to even spending any time on myself. Like just like a good picture is putting a $3 shake in my body felt guilty. Like I was doing something, I was always the person that would look at moms who would go to the gym and be like, how selfish are you leaving your kid for an hour and a half, 3 days a week? That was 100% my mindset. So to spend money on myself to buy shakes when I could just have a hard-boiled egg or, whatever, that's where I started. So as I started just feeling better, it's kind of this wonderful, boulder, rolling down a hill. As I started to feel better, I wanted to, continue that. And then I noticed that I was more patient with my kids. So my cup was being filled, right? And it was overflowing for my family. And then I was introduced to, lots of different things. So I met a life coach and I paid to do some coaching with him a couple times a month. And he really helped me kind of narrow down specific things that I wanted to accomplish every day, specific ideas. So one of them was family, one of them was fun, one of them was spirituality, and it was totally my decision what I wanted to focus on, but making sure that I sprinkled a little bit of that into my life every day. And so long story short, I have become more spiritual because I'm more in touch with that. And it's all about making an effort, so making an effort to spend some time and have fun with my kids, not just, be in the same room as them. And in even like organization, right? When your house is a complete disaster, it messes with your head. So one of my things was organization. So making an effort, even if it was 5 minutes every day of doing laundry or cleaning the kitchen or something, so that my space felt a little bit more zen, right? And then I was a little calmer. So I grew that way. And like anything, now that we're talking about it, I should probably grab my notebook and review all that stuff and go back to it, because it's been a couple of years. But that kind of just started me on this path of self-exploration and just growing myself. And then also, gosh, I want to say maybe 6 months into that, one of Kira, my oldest, one of her friends' mothers sent me an email or a message thanking me because Kira wrote this amazing note to a friend at school. And it was all verbiage that was way over her head, but that she had heard at home. Like, you're an amazing person. And I wish I had it for you to read, but I'll have to find it for you. I hope that you have a fantastic day. Just all of the stuff that a third grader, wouldn't have normally written. So anyway, your kids hear, right? Your kids hear what you're doing, see what you're doing,
Definitely.
for good or bad. Yeah.
That's so wonderful.
So sweet.
It's a great
Find
story.
that header for you guys.
Before we wrap up, we like to ask people, what are your top 3? So in regards to our conversation right now, we're curious to know if in your company, you could only choose 3 things to use in your life, like the products.
Yeah.
What are your top 3 and why?
The top 3 products. Well, right now, this collagen, I have it all over the place. So the top product would be the telomere support. So as an occupational therapist, I never even learned about telomeres. But real quick, they're the end caps of your chromosomes, and every degenerative disease, every symptom of aging, basically everything that goes wrong with you is linked to telomere shortening. And I'm sure you ladies can talk to anybody who wants to hear more, right? But stress and alcohol and chemicals and everything in the environment that we don't love shortens your telomeres. So that's the number 1 product, because I think that when we support ourselves at a cellular level, like, we're made of cells, right? So I love that. This collagen would probably right now be my second favorite. I feel like I am aging backwards. By the time I hit 50, I'm totally going to be carded more and more. But there's a lot of benefits outside of just, having nice skin. So I love the collagen. And then my third, that's a toss up. I have the shakes every day. But I love the adaptogens. I just had my adaptogen e-shot, my little energy e-shot. It helps with mental clarity. I had to have it before I got on the phone with you guys. So I think that's a tough one, but maybe that's a close 3 to the shakes that I have every day. So I love the adaptogens. We all need a little less stress in our life.
I can agree with that. I'm sure Jeanette can as well.
Yeah.
I do. I have one last question. I want to know where you see yourself. We want to know where you see yourself in 5 years.
I should have prepared for this one.
Well,
it's nice to ask it off the cuff.
Yeah. All of these are right. No, I know we should have said that. I'm not prepared for any of these questions. 5 years. So in 5 years, my daughter will be driving. My 6-year-old will be 11. I would love in 5 years to have had some amazing vacations with my children so that they could really explore, if not our world, if definitely our country. And, I think we've all gotten into this technology habit, especially over the last year. So that's on the top of my to-do list, is just really have the kids plan out, some amazing vacations where they can just see other people, other cultures, even if it's in the country, how other people live. So I would love to say in 5 years that we've had a couple of amazing trips. I would also love in 5 years, my husband and I have talked about, I would love to, when good people make good money, they can do great things. I really, really believe that. And so, while I'm not building this necessarily to have X amount in my bank account, I'd love to have the ability to give back to the community more every year than I was making as an OT. So that's a goal of mine, is to be able to really impact the world. My husband's aunt goes to Ghana, and she has a charity there. They go twice a year and they do heart surgery, but they also give to schools. So, there's so many outlets, there's so many things. It's exciting to think, who you could help and what you could do. So I'd love to say in 5 years that I'm able to, really make an impact on people who need it. And gosh, I'd love to retire my husband in 5
Nice.
years. Yeah. He likes his job, but he's, stuck in the bedroom for 7 hours, 8 hours. No, his office is in the bedroom. Let me clarify that. And so
I won't go there.
Oh, we're glad you clarified.
Yeah. So I'd love to be a full-time family, and have nobody else telling us where we need to be or what we need to be doing, and just be able to take off, the summer if we want to, and not, have to work around school vacation versus work versus this versus that.
Yep.
That would be
awesome.
That's what I want to be in 5 years.
Those are wonderful goals. Yeah.
Love them.
Yeah. Well, Krystal, it was so fun talking with you today. You are so inspiring. And, one of the things that Stephanie and I always talk about you is the light that you bring wherever you go, whether you're on a Zoom, or hopefully we'll get to meet you in person one day, or if it's a phone call, or even it comes through in your texts, that you truly are a light, and you're full of positive, genuine energy. And we really appreciate that about you.
Oh, I love you guys. I'm so glad that our paths aligned.
Yes.
Us too. I love that saying that the people who are going to be on your team or in your life is already in the stars.
Yeah.
That.
Yep. Love it.
Wonderful.
Good things can happen. Good things can happen when you kind of just go for it, right? Just go for it.
Yep.
Absolutely. This is fun.
Yes. Thank you. We'll have to have you on again sometime.
I'd love that.
Hey, it's a deal.
All right, thank you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.